and ATS following a loss this postseason. This time was thanks to Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, who became the first trio to each record at least 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists in the same finals game since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, and Michael Cooper back in 1984. Off day for both teams, but our James Herbert is always working. Welcome to CBS Sports NBA writer James Herbert, who joins us from Boston. You were there for Game 3. You're going to be there for Game 4, James. What is it about this Celtics team bouncing back after a loss this postseason?
Yeah, it really has a way of getting their poise back, getting their composure back, and playing to their identity. The Celtics know that on offense, if they are patient, if they make the simple play rather than trying to go 1-on-5, they can get good shots. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown attract a ton of attention defensively, and when they know where the help is coming from and when they know where their teammates are supposed to be and they're spaced properly, the Celtics have consistently been able to create good looks against elite defenses throughout the playoffs. Golden State had a really good defense in the regular season, but they pre-rotate a lot of the time. They load up on Brown and Tatum. They loaded up even on Marcus Smart, and I just thought Boston watched the film. They paid attention to the details. Jaylen Brown was talking about them setting screens better and things like that too, and I think that's totally accurate, but I think a lot of it is just the playmaking, just settling down, making the simple, smart play, and generating good offense that way. When they are just not turning the ball over, they pretty much win. That's been the story of the playoffs for Boston.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Boston dominated several key categories: points in the paint, second chance points, and offensive rebounds. Meantime, Draymond Green has struggled mightily in this series. Game 3, he had 2 points, 4 rebounds. He fouled out. Is it more Draymond struggling, or are the Celtics doing something to disrupt him? What have you seen?
Yeah, Draymond's an interesting player, right? Because he's not a go-to guy for the Warriors, even though he is an all-star, even though he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's not a one-on-one scorer. That's not how he does his playmaking. A lot of the time, he has the ball. Say he's posting up, right? He is not posting up because that's a matchup advantage that he wants to go to the bucket. He's posting up so he can be a hub for the offense, so the Warriors can run all their pretty off-ball stuff, and he can find shooters. When he gets the ball and he's probing around, he is generally not looking at the basket. He is trying to screen guys open, do their dribble handoff stuff, and basically be a guy that is facilitating offense for other people. The problem is that Boston's defense is so locked into everything that Golden State runs, to all of their pet actions they've been killing teams with for years. They're not making the mistakes that the Warriors offense relies on their opponents making. So when they are just anticipating what the Warriors are going to do, when their switches are just pristine and they're ready for it, Draymond ends up holding the ball, he ends up searching, and nobody is open. So you're not going to see a high assist night for Draymond Green in that situation. It's not necessarily what the Celtics are doing to him, it's what they're doing to everybody else.
Steph Curry said he's going to play in Game 4 on Friday. Got injured in the fourth quarter, Game 3. Certainly can't win without him. Also need Klay Thompson to get going. Showed improvement in Game 3 after combining for 26 points in Games 1 and 2. Went for 25 in Game 3. James, what does Golden State need from him in Game 4?
I think a little more of the same from what they got in Game 3. Klay Thompson just needs to take the good shots that are available. Yeah, if he gets rolling, if he's on one of his crazy runs, if Game 6 Klay shows up a couple of games early, then yeah, let go of those contested ones, go nuts. But I think where Klay Thompson got in trouble in the first couple of games is when he didn't get off to his proper rhythm early on. He started forcing things. He started pressing a little bit. Steve Kerr acknowledged this in his press conferences. Klay Thompson sort of talked about this as well. He is a confident guy. He is not going to let, a few misses bother him. He plays his way out of slumps. He shoots his way out of slumps. He just doesn't need to take bad shots to get himself out of slumps, right? Like, he needs to get good shots in the flow of the offense. He needs to keep moving, keep running around his screens, keep looking for his offense that way. But they don't need him to make a ton of plays off the dribble. They don't need him to take step backs with a hand in his face or anything like that. They just need him to get his buckets in the flow of the offense and make that system dangerous. A lot of the time, once he makes a couple of shots and the defense overreacts, that gets layups for guys like Draymond Green, who we were talking about earlier, and guys like Kevon Looney, or end up being able to crash the glass, get easy offensive rebounds because the defense is scrambled trying to keep up with Klay.
Warriors bounce back after losing Game 1. In fact, they're equally as good as the Celtics in this spot. Golden State a perfect 5-0 following a loss this postseason, winning their past 4 by 10 or more points. James, what has to happen for them to bounce back here in Game 4?
Now, if you listen to Draymond Green, it's entirely about playing with force. He sort of put this on himself. He said they didn't start with the requisite intensity. On his podcast, he was talking about how he was hearing what the media was saying, and he was kind of playing how other people wanted him to play rather than being himself. That might be part of it, right? Like, I do think that in Game 2, when the Warriors started out so well, when their defense improved over what we saw in Game 1, a lot of that was Draymond setting the tone. But I don't think it's just about physicality. I don't think it's that the Warriors weren't playing hard defensively last night. I think they have to look at their schemes, they have to look at their rotations, and they have to figure out a better balance of offense and defense out there. They might need to go with bigger lineups for like the majority of the game. They might need to give Kevon Looney some more minutes out there. They got bullied on the inside in Game 3. They got beaten up on the boards, and they got scrambled. They got in rotation. It looked like they were sort of a step slow all night defensively. Yeah, some of that is on just, pride and guarding your man and, point of attack defense, which is something Steve Kerr emphasized both last night after the game and today in his press conference. But I think some of it is just don't overhelp. Right? Like, maybe don't have Andrew Wiggins standing there on the nail as a help defender when Draymond Green is the guy guarding the ball. That seems like overdoing it to me. Boston had a lot of easy avenues for passes, and they knew exactly what Golden State was planning to do in terms of its defensive schemes. They had scouted it, and they found easy opportunities based on that. I think it might be time for the Warriors to go back to the drawing board and stop giving the Celtics the same kind of opportunities to drive to the rim, and definitely stop giving the same opportunities for, quite easy catch-and-shoot threes.
If the Celtics win Game 4, they'll take a commanding 3-1 series lead. Only one team has ever blown a 3-1 series lead in NBA Finals history. Golden State Warriors against my hometown Cleveland Cavaliers. Whenever I can bring that up, I'm going to bring it up, James. Boston's a 4-point favorite going into Game 4. What's your prediction?
I have to take Boston based on the way this series is trending. Part of it, honestly, is just I don't know what to expect from Stephen Curry. Yes, he says he will play. I believe he will play, but he has been such a big part of what the Warriors are doing. That kind of goes without saying. But we're not just talking about the offensive end here. We're talking about the defensive end where Steph Curry has held up pretty well throughout the playoffs. This is probably the best defensive year of his career, but he was already coming off his weakest defensive performance maybe in a few games, maybe honestly of the whole playoffs. Boston really picked on him last night. Boston really tried to get him involved in the action, both off ball and in terms of setting on-ball screens, trying to force switches, sometimes even just posting him up with Marcus Smart and going right at him one-on-one. That was a difficult thing for Stephen Curry to handle last night when he was ostensibly healthy. If he is hurt, if he is hobbling around out there, if this is going to take something out of him, then I'm really concerned about the Warriors' defense.
All right. Steph says he's going to play, but James says, hey, Celtics, let's take a 3-1 series lead heading back to San Francisco. James Herbert with the latest from Boston. James, thank you. And as we talk about how good the Celtics are bouncing back after a loss this postseason, the Warriors are also undefeated in this spot. A perfect 5-0 following a loss this postseason, winning their past 4 by 10 or more points. Game 4 tips off 9 Eastern back in Boston.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.